Welcome to the SOB Radio Show, where we have fun, interesting guests, and hot topics. Each week, we offer insights into music, fashion, health, fitness, and humor. Do you have the perfect guest for us to interview? I want to know. Drop me a line on our Facebook page at Spunky Old Broad 1 or reach out to me on our website at spunkyoldbroad.com. And now, back to the show. We're back with Joie Goodkin. And Joie is a businesswoman who started a business. Actually, she started her first business when she was 8, but she also went on to sell one of her companies as part of a Wall Street underwriting and became the president of a countywide United Way. And she wrote this wonderful book called You Can Do It, Timeless Wisdom from a Trailblazing Businesswoman. And Joie, in business, we meet all kinds of people. And much of your success, and I have to really think about mine as well when I'm thinking about it, but your success is driven in people skills. So what advice do you have for dealing with people, and maybe even those obnoxious people you really don't want to deal with, but you have to because of time and circumstance?
Well, I think when you're dealing with people, and if they're difficult, in either instance, it's good to look for some common ground. If you can find a common thread, perhaps you can create a spool. And I really think that when you're dealing with someone, it's best to see what you can find that you agree on and go from there.
What do you do if you can't find that though? We all know about the personality styles. We know all about the, different traits that we have. And I know there are people that, I get along with great because they're very much like me. And then there are people, my worst opposite person is the detailed analytical person, because that is not me. And so when I talk to them, they want so much data and so much fact that I'm not necessarily well prepared for them. So what do you do when you meet somebody who really is someone who's kind of like a thorn in your side?
I don't know if I can think of anybody who I ever would call a thorn in my side, because I've been fortunate in that I always find some way to communicate with them. If all else fails, Dr. Gayle, there's always humor. And I've always relied on humor as a common way of reaching someone. I also try and find something that they're interested in. I shift it around so that we're talking so that they get to talk more. They get to bring up what it is they're interested in. If they want data, let them talk about the data and just keep nodding your head and agreeing and saying, that's terrific. I'd love for you to help me with this or that. I would shift it around so that you put the focus on them.
Good for you. I think that's wonderful, because you're right. Humor does help a lot. And you also bring up something else that you talk about throughout your book, and that's integrity, which I just applaud because I come from the days when deals were done on a handshake. Now, with all the paperwork, it's like 100 pages before you even know what you signed. So integrity is something that you talk about a lot. Why is it so important to you, and why is it so important in business?
It's just important. Integrity meaning keeping your word, saying what you are going to do and doing it. I was taught by my dad that if you can't keep your word, you have to renegotiate it, because everything about you really resonates with your character. Who are you if you don't keep your word? And I find that one of my favorite stories in my book was about the time Coach Don Shula from the Miami Dolphins was supposed to be on the first cover of my magazine. And then they said he can't do it because of the football strike. And I wangled my way through to the locker room of the Miami Dolphins, and I got him on the phone, and he kept saying, no, he couldn't do it, didn't have time. And I said to him, Mr. Shula, if somebody in your negotiations gives you a suggestion for negotiating this football strike, would you like them to keep their word, or are you okay with them backing off it in another hour or a day or two? And that stopped him. And then he got my point. And he did finally agree. And we found a way for him to be on the first cover, which was easy for him. But it was all about him getting, and my understanding of integrity is what makes you who you are. If you can't keep your word, you've just turned yourself from a balloon into a completely deflated nothing. I think it is that important. You are your word. You are what you say you're going to do. That's your character.
Bravo, Joie. I so agree with you. I think that integrity, ethics, morality, all of that is such a part of a person's character. And if you cannot adhere to those three things, who wants you as a friend, who wants you as a partner, who wants you as a customer, who wants you as a anything in your life? And I totally agree with you on that. So bravo for you. You also say that and I laugh at this because I have my own feelings, but I want to hear yours. That many people say women cannot have it all. So, what is your response to that?
Well, I feel sorry for somebody who says that because they're just self-limiting. They're just self-limiting. Whatever all is to a person, yes, you can have it all. What you have to do is prioritize the all. So if you want to be a full-time mother, obviously you're not going to take on being somebody who needs to be traveling for your job 20 hours a week because you can't be in two places at once. So you have to figure out what it is that you're prioritizing as important to you. And at different times of your life, you might have 50% in one category, 20% in another, and 30% in another. And 2 years later, those percentages shift because your child is graduating or going to school, or you have different priorities. I really think anybody can have everything they want. It's a mindset. Your life is up to you. It's up to you, and you can do it.
Well, it's so true. People always ask me about work and life balance, and I say, yes, you can have it, but it's going to shift. I mean, how it was, growing up, how it was for me when I was in college, how it was when I got married, how it was when I was raising three kids, how it was and all this time I'm in business, but I did have a terrific husband. He was just absolutely fabulous. And he was the one that kept the home fires burning. Now, he worked and he had his own business and so forth, but he loved being at home and he loved being with the kids, and I loved being out and traveling everywhere. So it was a great combination. I mean, it worked for the 45 years we were married. So you can have it all, but maybe not all at the same time and not all in the same percentages as Joie is telling you. And you've got to be willing to do those shifts, and you've got to be willing to look at your life. And she also said something which is key to all of that, and that is prioritizing. You need to prioritize what you're doing, just like priorities now have changed because the people who are working at home, some have young kids, some have people who are teenagers, but there is a lot of grandmas and grandpas out there who are raising children of their kids for a lot of different reasons. And so there are many grandparents who are having their kids go to school. As a matter of fact, I have a friend in the building here who said that now that the preschool that his son was going to is closed, he's going to grandpa's school. And grandpa's school is one floor below them in the building. And the little one goes there every morning from 9 to 12, and he adores it. And grandpa is teaching him a lot of great things. So even if you're a grandparent, or like I'm a great grandparent, so even if you're a grandparent, and you may have a responsibility for little ones, there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can work with them. So, you also talk, of course, about your community service because that's been a huge part of your life. So why do you think that's important, not only for a successful business, but for a successful life?
Well, I think for me, I can only speak for me, but my thought about that is I've learned the more you give, the more you get back. It's in the giving more than the receiving that you feel the greatest joy. that's how it's been for me. And I found such a sense of wonderfulness by doing something good for somebody else. And when you volunteer for an organization, pick an organization that you really agree with their principles, that you really care about what they're doing. Enthusiasm is so important, but enthusiasm, to be genuine, you really have to like what that organization is about. So once you do that, you find ways, and they find ways, believe me, to ask you to help. And if you enjoy doing it, it enriches your life while it's enriching the life of those people that they're serving.
Well, that's another thing I think, Joey, that is changing. Gosh, I was a member of so many organizations, and I held leadership positions in just about all of them. And today I'm finding that young people don't have that same fervor. They don't want to join organizations. They'd rather be home with their families. If they do join anything, a lot of it is virtual, which of course a lot of us are going through now anyway. But I know that when I was a leader of a national organization, and we were trying to get chapters built in various parts of the country, that the younger people did not want to go to meetings. Now, they might go to pool parties and they might go to beer bashes or pizza parties, but they didn't want to go to chapter meetings. And that was really having a stopgap on our growth. So I think that may be changing. What have you seen in your arena?
Well, I'm not really seeing too many young people in organizations because I'm not dealing with that. The organizations that I might be involved with are more local. Years ago, they were more national. But I really think, in fairness to young people, they will come through when whatever it is needed from them resonates with them. I think we can't apply old ways of being if the world has changed. People want to survive. They all want food, shelter, love, and different forms of creativity will manifest in young people that we may not see. My granddaughter now is sewing masks. That's what she's doing now. Normally, she's teaching chemistry, but she's sewing masks. I think people that are much younger, I don't necessarily know what turns them on or how they work because I'm not with them all the time, but I do respect that the universe works, that people will contribute in ways that work for them. And the old ways may just be not how it's happening anymore. And we have to look and say, well, what is working rather than what isn't?
You know, you're right on target there, and I agree with you. I think the old way that volunteer, I'm going to talk about volunteer, even though I think this is true in business as well. Volunteer organizations are not going to be built or developed or grown in the way they used to be because young people don't just want to show up at meetings. So just like your granddaughter has a mission now. She has a mission that she believes in. And so not teaching chemistry, although I know she has to probably teach, you know, because of work furloughs and teaching from home and that kind of thing. She's also sewing masks. And this is something she believes in. And that's what young people are involved in. But here we are, we're here on the SOB broadcast, which is for women 50 plus. So I'm going to ask you, Joey, how you, at this point in your life, I'm not sure, do you want to tell us how old you are?
Well,
I mean, I'm 82, so I'm confessing I am 82 years old and it's still going like a you know what. So I'm not sure how old you are, but if you're willing to share.
I will be happy to tell you, I'm 78 years young.
See, you're a baby. You're a baby compared to me. But the point is, Joey, you are still reinventing who you are. So why don't you tell our audience, because this is very important. We've got women on this show listening who are from 50 on up. And one of my radio hosts, who's one of the most successful, is like 80. I think she's 85 or 86 now. So it doesn't matter how old you are; it's what you're doing with your life. So how is Joie Goodkin keeping her life busy at this point?
Oh my God, I don't have enough hours in the day. But I really think that what I do is I love to exercise, I love to hike, I love to be in nature. My greatest joy really is walking in trees and hiking. I love yoga classes, I love painting, I love spending time with my husband, who's a wonderful cook. I think I love to read. I think really it's about how much are you enjoying whatever it is that you're doing. And all of us can focus on literally questioning how we're spending our time is indicating what we value. Because what you spend your time on is what's important to you. And if you do any self analysis and you say, geez, I didn't realize how much I was watching television, find something else that you like to do rather than that, because you might just be wasting your time sitting there because you're not thinking about what else is out there. This is a big, busy world. There are so many things. And with the internet, you can discover interests that you had no idea you'd even care about. And that can happen to anyone. If you admire some kind of pottery, there's no reason you can't take a class and learn how to do it yourself. Or you could just admire it. Not everything is you have to do it. But I think the reality is think about the time you have and what you're spending it on and what you might prefer to spend it on as a place to start.
Those are all great suggestions. And right now, you can also learn, for example, how to do pottery by watching a YouTube video. I mean, there's not much that you can't discover on YouTube as to how to do it. So listen to what Joie has to say. And I think it's wonderful that you still at 78 like hiking, because most people, their knees are shot. My knees are shot. I know that. Even though I do work out every day, I've had to temper. I mean, I don't do the high impact anymore. I do as much low impact as I possibly can. But I think it's wonderful. And I never thought about the analogy that you did in our first segment, which was look at your hand and look at the leaf of a tree and how similar they are. It never even crossed my mind, which shows you how not in touch with nature I am, because that was a great analogy. And of course, all those spokes on the wheel of a leaf are the same spokes on your hand that can really show so many different things. So why don't we talk about, first of all, where your books are available? If you want to give us a summary of what's in the book, tell us how we can find you. Give us your website. And I don't know if you have a gift for any of our listeners, but any of those things I would love to know as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gayle. The book is called You Can Do It: Timeless Wisdom from a Trailblazing Businesswoman. And it really is a collection of my funny stories and ideas and Joie-isms, all designed to give you more confidence and enhance your life. The book is about what it's like to have been a woman in business. The first chapter is called Profit Knows No Sex. I mean, anybody can make money. A dollar doesn't care who it belongs to, if you know what I mean.
And I think that's great. I love it.
And it goes through the perseverance. And I think a very key thing in the book is not taking yourself so seriously, but take your goals seriously. I mean, I would plow into people's offices, and one guy threw me out 3 times and I still went back. And when I finally realized he doesn't want me to come anymore, he wound up calling me and saying, "Where are you? I kind of miss you," because I would go every Monday at 2:00, and all of a sudden his afternoon was void of my being there. So you never know how many times you have to hear no before you get a yes.
And
But
why did he throw you out, Joie?
well, I was selling newspaper advertising, and he kept telling me I would not wrap a fish in that paper. I don't think you should come back.
I love it. Okay.
But he wound up, when all was said and done, he advertised every week for as long as I ever worked for that paper. But that's why the perseverance pays off. There are some really silly stories in here. And it's about always filling a need. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and create win-win situations. And if you have a company, please pick the best people you can find and let them do their jobs. If somebody's smarter than you, good for you. You're smart enough to know to hire them. And the book's available on Amazon, it's on Goodreads, it's in Barnes and Noble online. Probably the easiest on Amazon, and it's available from my website, joiegoodkin.com, joiegoodkin.com. And there is a place there where we do offer you an infographic. We do offer you a gift if you go online to my website and you just click that you want it. It'll be in your inbox immediately or very soon. So there is a gift of tips. And they're all really, there's nothing in here that you couldn't have learned in kindergarten. It's about the basics of how being a good person and knowing what you want and knowing how to get it. And this book will show you how to get it and give you the confidence. And I'm so grateful to be able to share this with you, because if you need help, there's so much help out there for you. Dr. Gayle's show is a wonderful way. My book's another way. It's out there. Just look. Don't be stuck within yourself. Let yourself bloom like a flower.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show, Joie, but I have to ask you this because people ask me this, and I have a very short answer, but I want to know what yours is. If you had anything to do over, what would it be and how would you do it?
Oh, wow. I don't know. A do-over? I probably would not have gotten married so young.
Oh, how old were you when you got married?
21, going on 11.
Okay. Is that the marriage you're in now?
No. No, and
Okay.
there's a great story in the book about how I got a Mexican divorce, because I really divorced a lifestyle, which was also trailblazing, because in the early 60s, Dr. Gayle would probably agree with me. We're supposed to stay home, raise kids, be a nurse, be a secretary, or a teacher. And that was probably it. So I rejected all that and just kept going. And that story's in the book. It's what you would do over is not as important as what you're going to do now.
Fantastic. Well, as many of you may or may not know, I have started a new Facebook group. It's called the Virtual SOB Club. So if you're over 50 and you're listening to this and you'd like to be a part of our community, it's free. There's no charge, but I'm in there every day talking to you, answering your questions. So if you go to facebook.com/groups/virtual SOB Club, you can join. And I would love to have you there. I'd love to see you there. I'd love to talk with you there. And of course, as part of that community, you can always let me know what you'd like me to talk about or offer or have for you or give you tips on. And that's all a part of it. But right now, you have been listening to Joie Goodkin. She has this wonderful book called You Can Do It, Timeless Wisdom from a trailblazing businesswoman. And as you can tell, she's got many of the same philosophies as I do. And we did it at a time when it wasn't fashionable to be done, but we survived. And that's the point. And she's still going strong. I'm still going strong. So there's no reason for any of you to say it's too late for me. It is never too late. I always say it's not over until it really is over. So again, if you go to Joie, Joie Goodkin, GOODKIN.com, you'll find her information there. and you can order her book there. You can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes or Noble, you can go to just anywhere that sells books. You can find her book and all the Joie-isms that are in there. So I want to thank you so much, Joie, for being with us today. And hopefully, you will continue to be a force in this world, because we need people like you. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Gayle. And that was a beautiful, beautiful compliment. And it was a joy to get to know you.
Thanks so much. You've had the opportunity to get to know me over the last few years, and I'd like to get to know you as well. One of the things I'm offering is training for the media. I have a wonderful program that will get you ready for any radio or TV interview you might be offered. Many of you are doing wonderful things, but no one knows about them. Others of you are successful and wonder, what's next? Whether you're in a business or have a special cause or a specific event you're promoting, media can help. And I can help you master your message so you can master the media. If this sounds interesting to you, email me at gaylecarson13@gmail.com with media training in the subject line. I promise I will be in touch.